You know what? I'm super sensitive to that though. Like if
I
I'm
know.
watching a movie or when people have like home theater setups and it's like the
If
latency's
it's out,
off, it only has to be like that small,
yeah,
and I like
yeah.
can't even watch the movie
And the
anymore.
movie's out. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't even watch it. I'm bad where I'm like, I think I'm seeing it, but I'm not 100% sure if I am. I'm like,
totally.
is it out or is it? You know,
Or sometimes I like mind fuck myself where it's like if I'm watching if I'm watching something where there aren't actors on the screen, where it's like where it's like CGI or
Yeah.
animation or whatever. Like we watched an episode of that old show Dinosaurs. That was
Oh,
on Friday
yes.
nights with like the
'Cause
Jim Henson.
it's on Netflix
It's on
now,
Netflix,
right? Yeah.
We tried Alex and I watched an episode just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
And like literally 3 minutes in, I'm like, I can't do this because it like I could tell the actors weren't like the voice wasn't. I could tell it was a voiceover. Does that make sense? I'm
yeah.
just like,
Man, I'd be interested to look at like the behind the scenes on those shows, like how because it was an actor in a suit.
yeah, they just did a voiceover after.
But it looked really like the suits looked really. I remember that being really
Jim Henson,
creepy for me.
Yeah, the
when I was a
suits
kid.
were killer, and like even like the how much personality they had in the faces and
Yeah,
stuff.
the eyes and everything. Like
they did a really good job, but of course it
man.
was just a voice actor after the
right,
actor.
yeah,
Right?
and the
So-
work that had to go into it though to make those for a TV series.
Yeah.
Like so, here's what's crazy. Well, I don't know. So like WandaVision, I think it's 200 million to make
200 million.
9 episodes.
Yeah.
Right. And
And it was actually supposed to be, it was actually going to be 6 episodes.
oh really?
So they actually extended it because they didn't want to break between WandaVision and Falcon. Yeah. And
Because Falcon's out March
20th
Is it 20th?
or something like that.
So there'll be a little bit of a
20th?
break. 'Cause
It's like a week or 2
what
weeks.
episode are we on right now? Today should be 6 or
6, I think.
6 for WandaVision?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so 3 more then.
So okay, we're not going to be able to air this episode. I'm hot.
like
I'm hot.
you're hot.
I'm mad.
You're mad?
I'm mad.
Okay, all right. I know what you're mad about.
Yeah.
I think. And
Well, it just reminded me like
I know.
Yeah. It's like, what do you do?
Well, I was going to say society is, I was actually going to start this episode with the fact of saying like society is exhausting because of the unbelievable garbage
Yeah.
that gets put out there and just the level
Yeah.
is just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know why, but let's tell our people why you're hot. We're talking hot, steaming mad, okay? So,
No, it's hot steaming, Matt. Well, it's just like how so now I can't even enjoy Disney Plus anymore.
I know.
Like now it's like WandaVision comes out today of Falcon, in March. I don't even want to watch it. Like it's just, but I'm gonna watch it. Like some piss me off, but
now are you pissed because you're pissed because of Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pissed
The whole
because my girl
Gina Carano.
Right. Where do you even start?
I guess it's the responsibility of everybody. I think anyway, maybe she should have been a little bit more choice with her words.
Yes.
How
100%.
You pointed that out in a
She didn't say it the right way.
Right.
And it was a ham-fisted, like it was like it wasn't a very thought out comparison.
Yeah.
But it was a comparison. It was an analogy.
Yeah.
It wasn't calling anybody anything.
Yeah. And then the fact that media, like social media, could get out there and just be like, get rid of her, and then they could make that happen. Like I just like you just said it to a certain extent. The people aren't going to not watch the show,
right?
They can be on Twitter saying like, oh, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, they're going to turn the show on and watch it. Whether they hate that person or not, whether what they do or not.
I think
So why get rid of them to ruin a whole? Right. Why ruin it for everybody?
Yeah. Why?
I guess there's right.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what So there's 2 points. Point number 1 is I think companies have to get, and politicians too, like our mayor is really bad for that.
Yeah.
Like Twitter's not real life.
No.
What happens on Twitter is not real. What people say on Twitter isn't real, because there's even people who'll say something on Twitter and not actually do that in their real life.
Right. Because
it's just a receptacle for human trash. Like it's a receptacle for just whatever, and it takes 6 seconds. You don't even have to think about it. You throw it out into the world. You get on a bandwagon, off a bandwagon.
Well, people are
doesn't
tweeting
matter.
without thinking.
Yeah, right.
Like you'd think that by writing it down, you would think about it before hitting post.
Yeah. But it's like, you know what?
Doesn't
It's like,
happen.
I would like to pick any of those people and sit them down in front of Gina Carano and be like, say it to her face.
Yeah. But
Like,
here's one thing that Elon Musk put into perspective the other day, where he was talking about how like the naysayers and the goers and non-goers and stuff. But he was saying, it's like, how many people posted on that?
Yeah.
It's like, this many. Okay, well, there's like 134 million Americans.
Yes.
And you got like 10,000 of them losing
exactly.
their snot. So why are we listening to 10,000?
Right. That's exactly.
So it's like, well, how many subscribers does Disney have? Oh, like 100 million. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so if you have
5,000 on 10,000, it's like it's not even a grain of sand on the beach.
Yeah. So if
that's complaining. So why are we bending to them?
Right. Like if you have, that's exactly it. It's like a company has basically, this is exactly it. Any company has only ever lost money being on Twitter.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
They've only ever, Gillette, like there's so many examples. You can only lose on Twitter. There is no win on Twitter. You can't go on Twitter and be like, oh, look, our sales exploded.
Yeah.
No, because those people don't buy anything. Those 10,000 people don't have any money. So you said it yourself. It's like if they have 100 million Netflix, Disney Plus subscribers, and The Mandalorian and Disney won't even say the number, but it's actually like by like a country mile.
Yeah.
Their most important show. So if you count Grogu,
right,
the second most popular character on your most popular show, with 100 million subscribers paying $10 a month, there should be nothing in the world short of her breaking the law.
Yeah. Or murder.
Well, no, but that's breaking the law.
Breaking
right?
Yeah.
That's murder's illegal.
I would have let her break the law even.
No,
I just wouldn't let her murder someone.
Yeah. No, but literally, it's the hypocrisy of it all.
Brutal.
Because you can fire, this is point 2, you fire Gina Carano for literally, I'm sorry, it's nothing. Like, it's just like a stupid thing she said, which was actually technically accurate, just said poorly. Right? And then you go and ship a production of a movie to China, to the actual province, not even just China in general, to the same province.
They're executing people every day.
They've got people in internment camps for being Muslims.
That's cool.
And it's the same province. So they could have literally hopped into cars and drove to the internment camp from where they were shooting the movie.
Yeah.
Right? They can do that, and then they can thank the Chinese government for allowing them to shoot there publicly. Like,
doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. And there's nobody to check them on that.
Yeah.
This show, apparently.
Yeah.
But
this show. Welcome to 4th
Welcome to 4thGen. We're going to be canceled.
We're going to get canceled. Go for it. Knock yourself out.
No, but like, that's the thing. Like, it at some point you have to say, like, we're just not, like, as a marketing, somebody in marketing and digital marketing and social media, it's like, my only recommendation to any company is just simply do not have a presence on Twitter. Simply do not, because even if those 10,000 people get together and bash you and you're not there, you'll never know. And all it can do is keep you from making a bad decision. Like, literally. Like, you're not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter.
Well, I mean, we have an account, or I have an account on there, but Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, it's all been removed from my phone. I do keep Instagram. I think we've talked about this before. I go on it like once a day to just I look at like motivational things and stuff like that, and like
But the thing with Facebook, Facebook is like a little sketchy, but Facebook, Instagram, like, TikTok, whatever.
Yeah,
you can put out nothing but positive content.
True. Well, like, that's the one thing I love about Instagram.
Yeah,
I love Instagram in the sense of like I can follow the stuff that interests me.
Right.
I can get lost in it.
Yep. And
I don't know, for some reason I feel like it's easier to stop scrolling on Instagram than it was on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because like at a certain point I can only consume so much of the stuff that I like until I'm like, all right, I need to put it down for a bit and come back and get reinterested.
Well, because I think Facebook still has a little bit of that voyeurism about it.
Yeah.
Where you still have like, your friend from 20 years ago in high school.
Right.
And it's like you have that, like, so you'll have some stuff that interests you and then you'll be like, oh yeah, and then
then there's this
There's
guy.
this
What's
guy.
that person up? Then you go into their profile and you're like, I am a creep. And then it's like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But
I made it my 2021. Just like I'm done. Like I'm gonna get off of that stuff for a little while.
But it's like a
take
restaurant.
the year and
like a restaurant. It's like you can go on Instagram. You can just post fucking cool shit, like cool shots of your food. Like anything you want to put out there. You can put out that exact same content on Twitter and you're going to get hit somehow.
Yeah.
Like something's going to come back at you.
Yeah.
It's so messed up.
I mean, so like the cancel culture just hasn't gone away. Like it's still here. Like we had this with Kevin Hart and when he's like, he said, oh, like if my kid was gay or whatever, I hit him with the dollhouse or whatever. And he's like, well, people, like I'm not going to go, like if I had a gay kid, I'm not going to go buy a dollhouse and then go hit him with it. Like he's like, come on, like it's a comedy skit / joke. It was right. And so, like we go back to Star Trek. We talked about it last episode. Nobody was losing their shit over a Star Trek episode because like they were comparing the Klingons to blacks and like nobody was
comment like as a commentary.
Yeah,
and they just like you just can't talk about anything.
No. Yeah. Look at just shot.
Just get but it's like it's so messed up.
Well, here's another thing, and like I guess it's extremes, right? So, Super Bowl commercial there for Jeep with
my God,
with Bruce Springsteen.
That was like the most sanctimonious garbage.
I mean, this Bruce Springsteen commercial, you can't even find it anymore because
and then
they've completely removed
irony
it.
Of all ironies, they had to remove it because the guy gets a DUI.
And the DUI, like apparently it was only equivalent to one drink. Like he was only like 0.04 or something like that over. It's probably going to get thrown out of the court.
Yeah. Well, they said it wasn't like a meltdown. Like the cops were like, it was like the most like run of the mill stop. Like he was super cooperative. He was driving
in a park on top of that. Like, but because he was in a national park, it goes to like it's jurisdiction under federal or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So something like crazy. So anyway, it's because of that, it's a little bit of a bigger thing. But apparently, like Jeep had been trying to get Springsteen to do this thing for like years.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. And then he's like, okay, I'll do it, but my production company has to do it. And
you got to do it the way the boss wants it done,
Pretty much, right? Then this whole thing goes down, and over that little thing.
Yeah. Now we're not. Everything was, it was all a waste.
Yeah. And all the people that are losing their shit over this thing, you cannot tell me that I can guarantee you all of them have had a drink at a Christmas party, gotten in their vehicle, just one drink, gotten in their vehicle and drove home.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. And yet,
I think everybody...
It's kind of just over the top.
Yeah, like everybody on the planet Earth, I think, like anybody who drives can say there was at least one time when it's like, you didn't feel it at all.
Yeah.
But if there was an electronic device measuring it.
Yeah.
They could, by the letter of the law, they could get...
one drink. It's just one drink.
Yeah.
Like, you take a shot at the bar, you drink one beer at your buddy's place.
Yeah. Like, it's 3 p.m, you're at a buddy's house, and you have one beer on an empty stomach.
Hands
down. It's
enough for the machine to blow you over, but even though you're like, man, like, I could catch a bullet blindfolded now.
Yeah.
And I'm that aware, but it doesn't matter if the machine says the machine is. Yeah. But it's just that like they're literally gonna it's Jeep took it so far where it's like we had to remove the commercial, like all this money to spend to have it aired at the Super Bowl, all this, it's all now what?
Yeah, like what was it all for?
What was it all for if you just let that.
And the spirit of the commercial, which, like I said, was sanctimonious as shit. Like, it's like, sorry.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, like, it's like, I'm sorry, Bruce Springsteen, but you don't know the first goddamn thing about middle America.
Because that's what it was him, like, I read the quote.
In an old Jeep, and he's like, we gotta come together, man.
Right.
You know, and it's like, we gotta be equal. Like, he's like, he's just being Bruce Springsteen. I mean, it's fine. I love his music.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's pure Americana. But it's like, he's never left New York.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so messed up how he's got this perfect dual personality, like the marketing versus the, you know what I mean? He's got his
he had to have toured though.
Well, touring's one thing. I went from one end of the country to the other, man, in my 40-foot trailer.
I guess that's true too. It's not like he was living on the edge.
You know, like it just, you know, it's just, it is what it is. It's performance. It's performance art. Like, it's like an art piece. Like, I get it, you know, but, you know, the people buying Jeeps don't give an F that he like.
They're probably all the worst drinking drivers out there.
But I mean, it's just like, know your audience, like know your, like, it goes back to that. It's like you're literally you did an entire commercial with a multi-million-dollar musician who wanted it done his way with his production company. It cost you a fortune. And then you aired it in literally the most expensive spot you can find. To sell these 12,000 losers on Twitter a Jeep. And then to keep those 12,000 losers on Twitter from the backlash, you canceled your own commercial. So what are you doing? Like, it's just, as a company, what are you doing? You literally did an entire campaign and then shelved it.
Canned it,
for the same group of people. Like the same 12,000, like you were talking, the same 10, 12,000 people that would actually do something on Twitter.
They're probably the same people that lost their shit on Gina.
They are. That's absolutely it. And it's like, they don't
these people just go and look for that stuff.
They don't have two dimes to rub together. Exactly. They don't have the $10 a month for Disney Plus, nor do they have $50,000 to buy a brand new Jeep. They have
if Twitter wasn't free, they wouldn't be able to get on that. Like, exactly. That's what we should be doing. We should be charging for Twitter.
From now on, it's $10 to be on Twitter. They couldn't do it. They don't have jobs. Like, you're talking to people who, it's insane.
Yeah, wild.
You know, it's insane. And it's like, and Disney, please don't just go back to making money. Like, that's what you guys are good at. So go to China, take their money, take our money, take everybody's money, but don't pretend.
Now, I wonder, I'm curious if, because it's kind of like the James Gunn scenario, right? Like,
they brought him back.
They're
like, oh, shit, that's right. That movie was $1 billion. Okay, come on back, James Gunn. Exactly. Come on back. We're sorry. It's like...
Sorry we listened to...
like Pedro Pascal 2 years ago, he had a tweet where he literally had a picture of a concentration camp. It's like, that's like, what is that then? What is that?
But why... So I didn't catch all of what Gina said. Pedro, same thing. Why are we bringing that up? Like, what's the game of them as a celebrity to bring that stuff? They're making comparisons, I get, but like, it's just kind of weird that it's always rehashing the history, and then that's causing problems. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's
well, they just, I mean, at the end of the,
why are you using that to make your point?
Well, because they're trying to be poignant, because that's like a hot topic or button or whatever. But I think it goes back. It's the same thing. It's like, I'm on a hit TV show. I make millions of dollars a year. I'm a celebrity. What is it to me to be on? Like, why even be on there?
Yeah,
like, why even
say
anything?
I just keep my mouth shut?
Yeah, like, and I think so that's the other moral of the story, where there's also that feeling of like, if you get to the point where you're truly successful in the true sense of the word, and you've accomplished things that like these idiots couldn't accomplish with 1,000 lifetimes, they wouldn't do it. Right? Like, you know, it's like, become an MMA fighter, you know, be an actual, and the sick irony of it too, it's like, if you look at her and what she's done and who she is and how and like everything, it's like she should be the poster child for female empowerment.
Yeah.
Like,
and yet she kind of got like pushed.
She got pushed to the side, right? But but at the end of the day, you got to say, like, don't even be on there. Like, 100%. Like, why even say anything? Let those people like squawk away.
And like, man, that's a great point, because like, it blows me away. Bill Burr did a bit a while back about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he just goes like, all right, like, the guy, like, you know, lived in Austria, you know, decide, you know, I'm going to lift weights and become famous.
Yeah.
Right. Goes out, lifts weights, become famous. can barely speak a lick of English and says, I'm going to go to America. I'm going to become a movie star.
Yeah.
Goes out, bam, fucking does it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, you know what? Movie star, it's not good enough. I'm going to become a governor of a state I can't even pronounce.
Yeah.
You got to listen. It's hilarious. And then he goes in and he says, and then on top of that, I'm going to marry a Kennedy.
Yeah.
And he goes in, does that. And then he's like, then people have the balls to go out and be like, try and tear you down. Yeah. It's like you people couldn't accomplish a 1/100th of what this guy's accomplished in his life.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're out there, and yet you can win because there's more of you.
Yeah, right.
That's what's, like you said, exactly. Gina Carano, fights her way up, becomes an MMA star.
Like literally fights. Like it's like your job is
punched in the face.
Your job is to go into a cage and somebody else is going to try to just kill you.
Yeah. And do it. Get, fame, stardom, empowerment for women, and then one phrase can destroy you.
Well, it's not even one. Like they didn't like her from the beginning, right? Yeah. And it's like, what is there not? Because
I love her. I thought she was like the one thing I could never get over her about, it's just how I know it doesn't sound good, but massive she is. Like she's just like
her frame is
just like well, this woman is like just a wrecking machine. Yeah. Like she's just you look at her.
Well, there was that
you couldn't pick a better example of power.
Yeah,
like when she was in Deadpool.
Yeah,
right.
Like that, just kind of like
when she was tossing around Colossus.
Yeah,
you're like, I believe that. Like if I get that.
Well, and even the way, have you seen the Soderbergh film Haywire? That was her first movie.
Oh, well, that was with
Carano
and Pamela Anderson.
No,
no, that was Barbed Wire.
Yeah. What are you? This is Haywire.
Yeah, and then there was Barbed Wire.
Well, Barbed Wire is,
which is with Pamela Anderson.
That was in the
right.
That was like a '90s shitty.
That was old school.
Movie.
Yeah,
old school.
Yeah.
But Haywire is a Soderbergh film. It was Carano's first.
I haven't seen it, but I've read about it.
Yeah, it's awesome because it was what happens when a 120-pound woman has to fight a 200-pound guy.
Right.
It's perfect.
Right.
Because it was so grounded. So what she had to do to take care of them.
Yeah.
Was awesome because they used her MMA background. So it's it was really cool. It wasn't this unbelievable crap. It was amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's just, she should be, it's exactly what they,
Well, and there's a difference, like when someone can muscle someone, especially for a female to muscle someone is wild. Especially a man, a female to muscle a much larger than her man.
Yeah.
Is wild to watch.
Just the way she, and you have to watch it to see, but it was just and without getting into a friggin' MMA fight companion.
Yeah.
Slant, but just being able to be how would a woman do it? Because this guy could just fucking grab you and just wring your neck.
Yeah.
Right? He's got a foot of reach on you, a foot of height.
Yeah.
And an extra 100 pounds on you. How do you beat that? And just the way they were doing, she's only not using any hands, only using elbows and knees because that's the only way to do it. And she was using parts of the wall to get some leverage on the guys. And she was using stuff to come at him from get to his head, come at him from the really sort of grounded, using her whole body weight to when she would kick, it would be she would come at them with a knee and it would be
her whole body's into it.
Yeah.
And it's momentum.
Yeah. It's not this stupid bull crap now where it's the girl does this little, does this little roundhouse kick and it's going to send a guy flying.
Chun-Li tornado kick.
It was really, it was real. And it was and every guy she fought, it was they showed how taxing it is to fight another human being who knows how to fight back, right? And it was just cool, but they don't care.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a touchy subject, but she's a big girl.
Yeah.
And it's not the
but it's big in a good way. It's a healthy big. She's gorgeous.
She's attractive.
Gorgeous, absolutely.
But it's not what Hollywood. It's not what traditionally Hollywood is looking for in a leading lady.
Yeah.
So technically, then wouldn't they be happy that she's on screen in one of the most important roles?
And
it doesn't make any sense.
That's a great point. Where does the the teeter totter fall off balance? like, how come we're not looking at the good and the positive at all? It was one comment over like, man, she's empowering girls to do this, but we just like, bam, paint her black with, that she's blacklisted, take her off the thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, yeah, it's like we just don't look at the whole picture.
No.
And it just shoots out there in emotion.
Yeah.
And like you said, the bandwagon, right?
Yeah,
so like one person puts a thought and someone's like, yeah, I agree with that. And then, yeah, I agree with that. And it's like, whoop-de friggin' do. There's, like I said, 10, 15, 20, even if it was 100,000.
Even if you had 100%
it's a drop in the bucket.
If you have 100% compliance, even if every single person was like, I've canceled my Disney Plus. As long as Carano's on the show, I'm not watching Disney Plus. They wouldn't even, there is, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
They'd be like, okay, well, we're growing 2 million subscribers a fucking month.
Yeah. So we lose 100, like, we'll make that back, and and you'll be back.
Yeah,
you'll be back.
And
you might cancel today, but you'll be back.
It's just
your kids are gonna lose their crap that you're not on Disney Plus.
And what happens is you can't stay on top of it because there's too many ways to get burned. Like, and then same thing. Like Disney, they shrunk John Boyega on their Chinese Force Awakens poster.
Really?
Because the communist government was like, he's kind of black. Could you like make him
seriously?
Tinier? And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. See, that's messed up. So it's like, so how can you have the moral authority to say one thing and then do, it's just the hypocrisy of it. Like
I mean, it's insane because again, we're talking numbers like Twitter and what China, right? Yeah. India. I watched I went to an event where Cadbury was there, the chocolate company, and they were talking about like their marketing, and it was actually a marketing event. It's called The Gathering. It's in Banff Springs, and so Cadbury was there, Dr. Dre was there, like Marvel was there the year after. I didn't get to see that one. Lego, all these different companies, and talk about how they market and global scale and stuff. And they were talking about Cadbury. Well, Cadbury was there, and they were talking about how when they ran out like the Snickers campaign with Betty White and like how much that exploded and whatnot. And so there's this race in the chocolate industry right now to get to trillion annual revenues, right?
Okay, yeah.
And every one of these companies is just focusing on China.
Right. Yeah.
And because chocolate is not a like culturally staple for them.
Yeah.
They're trying to, and so like they say like where they gain the hardest is in airports where it's major Chinese connections, like to get to China, Hong Kong, is that they can market their chocolates in airports because that's where the
that's the international travelers
who will go through,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But in China itself, like they can't
thing.
get that stuff solidified in there, right? And they're just saying like if we could nail down that market, like it'd just be like, I mean, look, it's a billion, it's 1/7 of the population.
Yeah.
And if they could nail that market down, then move it over to India. Yeah. And like they're just, it's so crazy on just numbers, like the compounding factor.
Yeah, like it. Well, it is, and it's hard to like. So Porsche, for instance, I learned in my time with them that they could close down the entire world. They could literally not sell a single car anywhere.
Yeah,
but their entire production could actually just be in China, and they would be making the same money.
Yeah.
Without like, that's how like sort of voracious the appetite is there.
Yeah.
For luxury goods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the money's there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the problem and what companies have to like understand, there are no companies in China that are not run by the government.
Right.
Due to simply
like
how
every single day there's something coming up. And like I think yesterday there was an article coming out that like Russia and China right now, they're on like a full vendetta against Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Like and who are we to like what do we got?
Yeah.
And nothing.
Yeah. There's nothing to threaten them with.
Nope.
Nothing and on top of that, no will.
Nope.
No will to threaten them with anything either. Like, I mean,
like it is kind of baffling that like, back in the day we were tough. Like Canadians were tough.
Yeah.
Like, you go back to the War of 1812, we held off the British and the US became 1812, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It came back, came off and did our thing. We supported in World War I, World War II. We were like
we had
primary.
we had the, I think, third or fourth largest fleet in World War II.
Yeah, and we were tough bastards.
Yeah.
But now it's like we stayed there,
and everyone else moved.
And everyone else moved on into the future, and we kind of just. But even our own government, and I don't want to go political, but even our own government. So it's kind of weird. Like, so now on the global stage right now, China and Russia are like, Canada, do what we want.
Yeah.
And does the U.S. have our back? I don't know.
Well, it doesn't look that way.
No, it doesn't, right?
Like, I mean, the thing with, again, because as soon as you want to sell anything in China, you're beholden to their government.
Yep. But you need China, because Russia, they're the only ones that can buy. They only have the volume to buy your stuff.
Yeah, so like the USSR did it wrong, and China's done it right.
Yeah,
in the sense of, I mean, of course they've killed millions of their own people, so I mean they're not doing that well. But I mean, the sense of like in the old, in the Cold War, if let's say you were at you had Bryce, the Kiwi Productions wanted to go to Russia.
Yeah.
Right. Wanted to go to the USSR. They're like, well, you're going to have to meet with the minister of public, the minister of the public good. He handles those deals. And you go, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God. And then there's security checks. You're in a government building. There's guys with AK-47s around, and it totally, the game is like, oh my God, like I can't get in bed with
what am I doing?
The U.S. Yeah, I can't get in bed with the Soviets.
What
like,
deal
what's going to
am I
happen?
doing?
Right. But China is so smart. They just invent a company that has a nice office and a water cooler and a coffee bar, and you know what I mean? They're basically doing it with the honey instead of with the stick.
Yeah.
Right. But what you don't realize is like, no, that person you're meeting is still a government agent. They're still going to go, and if you have some time,
guys.
Yeah, like literally, like if you have some time, it's a long read a little bit. You have to dig into it a bit, but Saleen, the car company, Steve Saleen, was, I mean, obviously he's been tuning Mustangs and Ford products, and then they even built their own supercar, the S1, in the early 2000s. So he actually got in bed with a Chinese car company, and they fucked him. And more specifically, the Chinese government fucked him. Like, they left him with nothing.
Yeah.
And it's actually, and you should read up on it, it's actually crazy. So they literally, so he wanted to do he wanted to build a new supercar. And a Chinese company said, well, we want to build a new build a new line of cars to sell in China, but we don't have the like engineering know-how, how to like set up a production line and set up quality control. Like, we don't just have any of that stuff.
Right.
So they came up with this deal where they're like, we'll fund you to build your new sports cars. But
you do it here in China.
Yeah. And you help us set up this production facility and teach us how to build these, like, normal cars, like how to do a production run in normal vehicles, and we'll go in business together.
Yeah.
And there's like, stacks of contracts and paperwork, and he had his lawyers look at it, and there was, that company had sent people over, like liaisons to the US, and apparently he developed a really close relationship with his like liaison between him and the Chinese company, this Chinese national, who eventually, she actually, I think, had to quit because she just couldn't deal with it anymore, because she was basically a double agent.
I know this is weird, but I was going to ask if it was a female.
It was a female. Yeah. So, I mean, take that how you want.
Yep.
But, and literally they even put on so on Road and Track and all these car magazines, like they put on a launch event for them with prototypes of the cars, and like it was full on, like it was a full on thing. All they wanted was for him to set up their facility.
Yeah. Long term. They were thinking 40 years ahead. Yeah. This guy was thinking 40 days ahead.
So they literally they basically had no intention of ever building his car.
Yeah.
Nothing. The press events, the drives, the track days, everything was all just to buy time. So that
the information
for him to give them. So he set up their production facilities for the new cars, everything. Yeah. And then all of a sudden one day he just they just like disappear. They like cut him loose, and he's ruined because he put in so much of his own money, his own time. It's insane.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where the real conniving is. If I can convince you that I'm helping you, but you pay for everything.
Yeah, but you're paying. You know, like it's just insane,
crazy.
and it's all run.
But you know,
like the Chinese government.
They're doing that everywhere. Like when I was in Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea, they have all the concrete mills.
Yeah,
like they're making concrete there, like the powder, like crazy. They build roads. Like the infrastructure they're putting in Ethiopia is crazy. Then these buildings. And they're gifts.
Yeah, they just give it
gifts.
Yeah.
You're just what? And like there's these massive, and they're the nicest buildings in Addis Ababa. Like they're the nicest buildings ever. Empty.
Yeah.
And they're gifts. Yeah. We're gonna build this tower for you. It's a gift. What was for trade?
Yeah.
Because the public, now I'm hearing it from the public that it's gifts.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like okay, that's interesting, but like, what was the trade up? Oh, no trade up. No, they're just gifts. No, there was a trade up.
Yeah,
there's a trade up somewhere.
There was
nobody just walks in and says, "Here, I'm going to build you."
Yeah, that's right.
$40 million or $100 million tower for just nothing.
Yeah,
something's up.
Yeah, and well, that in Australia, did you tell me about that? In Australia, there was this mom and like this sort of small business that wanted to use a canal, and it turned out that the Chinese it was owned by the Chinese government.
No, not me.
It's crazy. Yeah, I heard this story. It's wild. Like it's because the Australian government had traded away this canal. It's just, like it's
wild.
It's wild.
I was going to go back one thing about going way back to where we were talking about the girls beating up guys. Still on my mind. There was something I wanted to get off my chest about it. There was, I took a colleague course, Filipino martial art, knives, rattans, and stuff like that. I took a course for a year, and the introductory session was this. She's about maybe 100 pounds. This Filipino girl, right? And they put a 220-pound guy and showed scenarios and what a woman can do to get out of these scenarios. And we were outside. They had a car there, and she was pretending to put groceries in the car.
Oh yeah.
And then the guy would come and grab her on the waist and blah blah. And then like she would do like the trunk and all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
This little girl, like 100 pounds soaking wet, could kick the living snot out of a 220-pound man.
Yeah.
No muscle required. Like it was just the sheer like attack of like the joint,
knowing how like the human body works.
And it was like popping eardrums, fish hooking to the mouth. Like it's mean stuff. But it's like, well, do I get kidnapped and raped or do I fight dirty?
Oh yeah, you gotta fight dirty. Oh yeah.
Right? Eye gouging, growing kicks, like manipulation of the joints, knee, ankle. It was gnarly, snapping fingers and stuff like that. And it was like it was more about that martial art was more about, for females especially, was training the mentality. Like you have to think like I mean, just and our listeners can do this at home. Just think of like your hand on the table, something grabbing your index finger and snapping it back to your wrist.
Yeah.
You cringe.
Yeah.
And you go, oh,
yeah.
Right. You may even feel
or like
sick.
Like kick it, like, or the feeling of like the one that one course that I took, that they were showing how like it's super easy to break somebody's arm.
Super easy.
If they come, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and just need leverage.
But it's just leverage, it's mechanics. But it's like, I think it's like that same thing, that cringe feeling of like, what does that, like
it's in the head.
Palm strike an elbow and just crack at somebody's arm like that, or their knee, like heel, like you can, 100-pound girl can heel kick a 200-pound guy in the knee.
Oh yeah.
And
it's over.
It's over. Yeah, exactly.
It's over.
But that feeling, like what, I don't even like crunching a bug.
Yeah. So it's and so like a lot of the martial art was more about the mentality that you have to get into to execute the moves, and like you have to go into kill mode where it's like, he's trying to kill me, I'm trying to kill it. He's trying to kill me. I need to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And you have to like separate those. That there's like a part of the brain you have to switch off somehow to just do what you have to do, right?
Yeah.
And like she was talking about that was one of the things was hands on table or hands on thigh or hip or breast or shoulder, and to grab that finger and snap it in the opposite direction, and jam the thumb in the eyeball. It was like, holy crap!
Yeah.
And like and just like, and then she's yelling, right? Like and you're just like. the poor bastard that picks her in a back alley.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like he's done. Like his life will be forever changed, right? And we were talking to another lady there, and she's like, yeah, whenever we train some of our girls, like because she was training females in the military in Africa. She was actually going there and training. It was for what the hell are they doing? So poaching.
Yeah, the anti-poaching.
The anti-poaching. Yeah. And so she was part of a group that went there
crazy
to Africa.
Dangerous, apparently.
To train these females for anti-poaching. And like, they're like freaking mercenaries, man. They're trained to kill. Yeah. And it was wild. And so she was like talking about like how they were just so much of it is like the psychological, and that's how they have to break a man in the military. That was the Navy SEALs especially, where they were always like, we have to break you as a human being and then build you the way we want. We have to snap the psyche so that way you shooting a guy isn't a problem.
It's not a problem.
Like we've reprogrammed you like a robot. Like you know when you see movies like these Russian movies where they're putting sleeper agents in there, psychologically shocking their brains and stuff like that, and making them forget things and reprogramming like activation words. And stuff. That shit's real. Like they to a certain degree they do that to people and like that go out and fight.
They had this seal on not a seal, a ranger on I forget the name of the show, but they had him climbing a moving wall. You know those like walls that are a climbing wall? In a vacuum. So what they did was that they put him on this wall. And they were climbing, and he had his rifle slung. And he's climbing, and they had it enclosed, and they were sucking the oxygen out of it slowly. Right? He was like, and they're slowly sucking the oxygen out of it, and then what would happen is there'd be a buzzer, and the door would open, and he would have to turn, go to his rifle, and then they had targets pop 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 pop, and he had to do run this course, and it's such muscle memory that there was zero oxygen left in the thing. He was like actually climbed a few more feet.
He's like, damn, you're unconscious.
With basically unconscious, just because you're literally your muscles are just going. And then they opened the door, they let him out, and he like hops off the wall, pulls his rifle, and obviously, like, I mean, you're oxygen deprived. He's going through this course, and it's just because it's all just programmed.
And like just stay steady, still on
just
target,
to be steady, on target,
stuff,
moving.
Right?
Like it's crazy.
They did one. I watched one where they dropped a guy in ice water.
Yes.
And then he gets out and runs the course. And so he's like on a balance beam, pulls a gun, fires a couple shots. He does like all this stuff. And like so they did it dry. So like he didn't do the ice. They did it dry. He did it, scored, great. He got in the ice. They left him in there for like 10 minutes. Like his body temperature was like ridiculously hypothermia levels almost. Gets out, he scored higher than what he did when he was
crazy,
just regular. And it was crazy. Like, they just, again, like how they can condition the body and the mind. And so going back to the girls is like that's like, I talk to my daughter about that all the time. It's like, she's such a sweetheart. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody. It's like, but there is a point where like, if someone's trying to hurt you, it's you or them. So you're going to have to like learn that distinction and then be comfortable with going a certain distance. But at the same time, identifying if you're going too far or not far enough. Right. So it's pretty, that stuff's pretty wild. I think that stuff's interesting as hell. The brain and the body is such an amazing thing. Like, and we don't even understand. We think we do, but we don't.
Well, again, I think they learn more every day, right?
They do, yeah. I mean, like some of the episodes we had in Alberta Impact, and some of the conversations we had with some of those doctors off camera, just where they said it's like the human body's like a computer. Like once we figure out the basic genome mapping, we know that we can pull this out from here and put something else in there, or pull it out from over here. But it's because it's an evolving, like the body's always evolving and biology's always evolving. Like they were saying, like, we can stop the eye from aging. We know the gene. There's a company in the United States called CRISPR. They can pull the gene from the eyeball that actually makes the eyeball age. Mm-hmm. And they could stop the aging of an eyeball, which is wild. And it's safe, and they've tested it, and they can do it. They even know the actual, like the genes and the chromosomes in your helix to eliminate cancer. But because it's so infant stages, so like we could pull it from an embryo, we don't know what
where it
those
goes
long
after.
effects
Yeah.
are. So if we pull it here, the person might grow up without a personality, or like we don't know, right?
Mhm.
And so that's where there's still so much, and then everybody's different. Everybody's genes are a little bit different.
Well, I think that's been their problem with dealing with this
the
little
COVID.
COVID thing. It's like it's literally, somebody has to come out and say we don't know.
Yeah.
Like we just.
But I mean,
we
like,
don't know.
and it's weird because like they have said that to a certain degree in some areas, but they don't. They say we don't know, but then they try and give answers.
Yes.
And so it's like,
yes.
well, you're trying to give answers, but you're telling me you don't know. Those two don't work very well together. So like it's either you know or you
Well,
don't
it's even
know.
like things as simple, like they can't even figure out like distance and masks.
Yeah.
They can't no, they don't know.
No.
They don't know. One mask, three
Well,
masks.
remember in the early days when they were like, how they were trying to gauge how long it remained on surfaces?
They still can figure.
So like cardboard, steel, like
something porous,
subway,
something,
benches and all sorts of stuff. And then they did their modeling, and then they came out like months later, a couple months, and they were way the frick off.
Yeah.
Like way off, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how, and that's the thing is like trying to give answers to a public that's demanding answers. But like at the end of the day, like science takes time. Like we need to do experiments. We need to run variables. Like it just takes time.
Yeah.
That's why like the vaccine, like, is it the way to go? Like, should we jump on that bandwagon? I mean,
Right.
people are getting vaccinated, but like science, like they couldn't figure out where this virus came from and how long it stays on surfaces, how potent it was, and so on and so forth. Do we really want to jump on a vaccine based off of faulty information from day one?
Yeah.
And they still don't really have, like, it's a personal moral dilemma that everyone has to, assess and look at their risk mitigation that they want to take. How far do they want to go? It's just kind of a crazy time. And now we got variants out. We did a video last week, talked to a lady. There's a variant in Africa right now, in Zimbabwe, and it's like it's just wiping people out, like left, right, and center. This lady lost her mom, sister, and grandmother all within 72 hours of the variant hitting them.
Holy.
And so that information, now we're going to get shut down. But that, like, I don't know if that information is out there. I mean, they're saying that Brazilian one is pretty deadly.
They said that, well, it wasn't deadly. It's that 75% of the population got it within like.
Well, I guess
I guess
not deadly, but just it's very
But it's just it's spread so quickly that it's hard for them to maybe hard for them to deal with. I don't know. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, we're no experts. I sure as hell ain't. I'm lucky to figure out how to tie my shoes in the morning. But it's just, it's a crazy time. Like, just this whole friggin' thing, like 2020. But going out in public right now, like we wear our masks and we're in our vehicle, and it's primary just for like groceries and whatnot. But it feels like people have kind of given up. I don't know. Like, I mean, you're a little bit more dove into the scene with marketing.
Yeah, there's definitely a fatigue.
Yeah.
But I think it's because, what's the best way to put it? I'm gonna get deep, I think, and try to stay with me.
Go on, let's do it.
I think it's because the efforts to slow the virus down are like go against human nature.
Yeah.
In the sense that human beings, so like we go back, let's talk about, the sort of like the Great Generation, like the World War II. So it's like, how did people live in a city that was getting bombed round the clock?
I mean, there's cities like that today.
Well, yeah, if you want to talk, but I mean, how do you cope with, I literally get up in the morning and I do not know if a bomb is just going to come through my ceiling and just end it, period. No, it'll be a flash. I'll never see it coming. I'll never hear it coming. Or when my dad goes to work in a factory that I know their plant, like that factory's building airplanes.
Yeah.
And they're gonna come with 1,000 bombers and they're gonna try to bomb that place.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's how do you cope with that? It's like, well, you cope with that because we have each other. Like you cope with it being together. Like
so trying to isolate.
So by
so
by telling somebody there's this thing out there that's dangerous, but we're gonna close your business down so you have no income, no hope. You're not going to be allowed to see your family members. You're not going to be allowed to gather with your friends. Everything that they're doing is exactly what humans need to get through shit like this.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the fatigue is there, because I saw it at a restaurant. You know, there's 4 guys at a table just having a beer. Well, they're not all from, like, you telling me they're all from the same household? Come on. But it's just, you know, like, I'm lucky, you know, like, I'm really close with my family. I'm really, you know, like, I live with my girlfriend. Like, we have people, but there's easily a way that somebody could have no one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hands.
So if you were the only person, if you just moved to Edmonton, you don't know anybody, you're the only person living here, your family lives in another province, you could easily have gone a year without a human being.
Yep.
You know?
Well, December 6th, 2020, I mean, we that was it. We had seen nobody, family, nothing. We did the Zoom stuff.
Yeah.
Family, nothing till about January, about a month, so January 5th or 6th. Nobody.
Yeah.
And that was wild. Like, it was kind of just like, man, like you see the neighbor shoveling the snow.
Yeah.
Neighbor, what's up? You know, like across the thing, but that was it.
Yeah.
And it was it's kind of wild. But we have a wife, have a daughter,
right?
You know,
we
can make things happen, right? Like we can entertain each other, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I know. I think it's going to be really wild to see the mental health stats, you know, once they start focusing on that stuff a little bit more and looking at, you know, I know that some suicide rates stuff has come out already.
Gone up.
It's ridiculous.
The actual, like, the debt mortgage problems, it's a delayed reaction. We're actually going to see that coming now in the coming months.
Yes.
But I think, and what I kind of hope for, and this is maybe not a popular opinion, but I hope that as the virus naturally does what it was going to do anyway,
right?
That's about when people say, look, we've had enough.
Yeah.
And I think if it all kind of comes, you know what I mean? If it all sort of, as the virus sort of fizzes out, and it'll be right about when we start to see, like, we're going to start to see some civil disobedience, because we've already seen it. Like those 25 restaurants down, you know, in southern Alberta.
It's a different level of desperation.
That's right. It's new desperation.
It's a different level of desperation.
Yeah.
It's now like, I'm starving to death.
Yeah, it's like the bank's going to come take my house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different level of...
What is that? What are people prepared to do?
Yeah. And that was interesting. We talked a little bit about it, but like when the rioters, and I always, you know, especially when so like the Black Lives Matter, the riots happened, and there were lots of vandalism and looting and things like that. And I listened to another guy talk about it, and I was frustrated because I'm like, why? What good does that do? What good does that do going and smashing and stealing stuff and blah, blah, blah? And I listened to another guy, and he's like, well, you have to look at it from their perspective. A lot of those people, like, because we're in the pandemic, which is when Black Lives Matter was, you know, just the last one with George Floyd and whatnot, they were already in discourse,
dire straits,
but they were just like banging their head against their bedroom wall.
Yeah.
Then when they took to the streets, they were like, man, like, I need food. I could take that guitar and sell it and get the money I need for
whatever,
blankets or whatever, right? Yeah. And so that it turned into, and that's a perspective that I just wasn't looking at it from that look. Mm-hmm. And but then once I started thinking, I'm like, oh crap, and like, you know, like that's very, very, very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's going to be, the desperation is going to be interesting. Like, I mean, it's horrible, but it's...
Well, can you imagine if the banks tried to raise interest rates?
Yeah.
Well,
not even, I mean, it's as simple as at some point those yeah, you need to pay your cell phone bill. You need to pay your heating bill.
Yep.
You need to, you need to pay your mortgage / your rent. And, this war on the this war on the landlords too.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but if you weren't paying rent, you'd have a mortgage.
Yep.
It'd be the bank. There's no difference. Like,
right.
The point is that you're paying for your lodging.
Yeah. The point is that you can actually communicate with the person that you're paying, whereas a bank's like, hey, who are you going to come complain to? Like, nobody here can help you, right? Like,
so I mean, it's just that feeling of, and then you're just taking away, and it's true, and in a lot of ways, there's something to be said for the ability to like deal with stuff as a community, instead of having the community like torn apart, and then when things aren't getting any better, but you're still torn apart. Where does that leave you, right? So I think,
and we're coming up to that.
Oh, that's where I think we're getting there, where we're literally like, there's no, and especially this. I mean, like, just how it's presented to people is getting so transparent and so obviously obvious that people are gonna, like, the variant thing. It's like, it's so funny. It was the first news story I read yesterday where they didn't talk about how many tests were done. They only talked about how many the variant was found. So like, now we're at 150. It doesn't matter that the infections are down like 50%, 60%.
Right.
Like we went from, like in Edmonton, we went from 10,000 cases to 1,700 in 2 months.
Well, I know Ontario, they put out the thing on how many rapid tests are sitting just gathering dust right now.
Yeah,
like they're not even being used.
I have another. This is a conspiracy theory. Oh. Are you ready?
Right.
This is straight up conspiracy.
Let's
hit it. Is that the rapid tests are exactly what they wouldn't want the public to have. Yeah. Because the last thing they would want is for you to be able to go like this, beep, I'm good.
And go, party.
And go.
Yeah.
That's like the last thing they would want.
Right.
Whether that's for good, whether that is the smart thing to do is keep that away or not. But the point is they're not like, because they even had there was like 4 or 5 companies developing a T cell test. Where you'd prick your finger, put it in the box.
Yeah, where'd those go?
Right. Where did they go? That's a good question, Bryce.
I do remember that now.
Because they would be able to tell you if you've had the virus yet.
Right.
Because imagine what that would do.
Yeah.
If you could have like people go spend $40, because I would do that in a hot second.
Right.
I would go and find out this whole year, have I had it before? Because if they told me I had it before, that's a whole new ball. That's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
Then you got people out there
partying,
moving and shaking. But I mean, it would
walking out of the house. Ooh, yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to sell the fear.
Yeah.
Right. Because
the fear it feels like people are like seeing bullshit in the fear because
they're starting to
what I don't get is it's like, oh, hey, we're doing good. Like the cases have gone down, but then they don't tell you how many they've been testing. And then they're like, so we're going to open up restaurants, bars, and that now. It's like, yeah, but because you had 2 good weeks, you're going to fire it all open now. And like now, so like the whole sine wave of the reaction, it's like, well,
but it's like, and I'm at the point, and like, my thoughts on the whole thing, but I'm also at the point where it's like, I don't want to open up if you guys know for sure you're going to have to close down again.
Right. Because like even like with the reduced numbers, and this because you were in the bar industry and stuff like that, doing the social media, but it was when they're like, oh, we can only have this many. It's like, yeah, but like our business plan says we have to have this many so we can break even.
Yeah, you're like, but
this many to make money. So like,
we're making 10%. So but you can't give us 50% capacity because then we're not making 10% anymore.
Right. So it's like to be open actually costs them more money than to be closed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it was, so
the opening and closing is the pain.
Oh,
it's like, so
it's got to be painful.
So it's like, what do you do? Like, so that's a problem. It's like, well, there's these numbers that we have to stay below in order to like stay open. But it's like, but we're going to hit those numbers when you open up.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, I haven't been paying attention about the political landscape on the COVID, especially because we're coming into an election year right now and so on and so forth for here in Alberta.
Yeah.
So it'll be, I'm interested to see how the conversations, form.
Well, I think it's
mold.
I think it's honestly going to cloud everything.
Yeah.
Because whichever government got saddled with this, there's no right answers.
There isn't.
There's literally no right answer because, like, even, there's just no right answers.
Yeah.
There just isn't, because you can't. There's no choice that you could have made where the other half of the population isn't going to throw you out the next year.
Exactly.
There's not, because you close everything down, lock everybody up. California has the same numbers as Florida.
Yeah.
And they literally did the polar opposite things. So it's like,
it's coming whether you like it or not.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, so it's just, I don't know.
All right, cool. Anyway, we're going to leave it there.
Cancel Disney Plus. Do the right thing, everyone.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, another week of fiasco, another brain dump from Nick and Bryce here at 4thGen. So we are out. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Stay humble. Love each other. Come on, people.
Come on. Just have a good time.
Just be nice. Be grateful for what you have right now. And, it could always be worse. We've talked about that before. It
can always be.
Can always be
worse. If you take anything away from us.
You could be sitting in fear waiting for a bomb to hit your house.
Literally.
So, stay safe, people. Have a great week.
See you there.
Sweet.